This is the translation of the Chapter 5 reading in Level 2 of Latin for the New Millennium. The reading is called Confessio Goliae, the Confession of Golia. Golia is supposed to be a poet in the medieval period, and this reading is actually based on a real poem from the medieval period. In places, the reading actually preserves the original poem. For instance, in the first 4 lines, where we have Aistuans down to Venti. Other places it turns the poem into prose, as it does here in Divisum, Sed Pauper, and so on and so forth. By the way, this is written in Goliardic meter, and there's a fun little fact about Goliardic meter. Goliardic meter is in a meter that can be sung to the tune of Good King Wenceslas. So I'll give you an example here with my horrible voice. Are you ready? Here we go. I'm going to sing the first four lines. Aestuans intrinsecus ira vehamenti in amaritudine loquor meae menti factus de materia levis elementi folio sum similis de quo ludent venti. So that's the tune of Good King Wenceslas, and this poem can be sung to that. Now, this is a form of Goliardic verse. These are poems that are humorous in the Middle Ages. In this case, what we have is a poet sort of confessing his evil ways, and that's what's going to be in this translation. Let's get into it. Okay, so we start with Aistuans, burning, intrinsecus, within or inside, burning inside, ira vehementi, that's ablative, ira, notice the long A, and vehementi, the ablative, with violent anger. So burning inside with violent anger. In amaratudine, in bitterness, loquor. Loquor means I speak. This is a verb form that we haven't learned yet, but your book is beginning to introduce verbs of this type, and loquor means I speak. I speak, meae menti, dative, to my mind. Menti is from mens, mentis, feminine, and this is a dative expression, meae menti. This is a feminine dative singular noun, and that's a feminine singular dative adjective going with it. So, in bitterness I speak to my mind. Made from material of light element, we might say light substance in English, made from material of light element. Okay? Levis elementi is genitive and materia is ablative, so from material of light element. Sum similis, I am similar, folio, to a leaf. That's a dative. The word similis often has a dative with it. Like if you're similar to something, you can be similar to something, and that thing is put in the dative. Here we have the word folio, which is the dative of the word folium, which means leaf. I am similar to a leaf. De quo, about which venti, the winds play. The Latin says about which the winds play. In English, we'd probably say with which the winds play. That is, yeah, that's just how we would say that in English, with which the winds play. Similis sum, I am similar, flumini, to a river. Again, a dative, from the word flumen, fluminus, neuter. Quod numquam manet, which never stays, which implies, what this means is sort of stays still or remains, which never stays still, sed semper fluit, but always flows. And then we have another similism. I am similar, naui, to a ship. Dative of the word for ship, nauis feminine. Sine nauta, without a sailor, okay? In other words, he's like a ship that's just sort of floating around loose. Similisum avi, I am similar to a bird. This is from the word avis, which means bird. I am similar to a bird. That's dative again. Non me tenent vincula, non me tenet clavis. Okay, so fetters or bonds or chains do not hold me. A key does not hold me, right? So he's not imprisoned into some sort of way of life. He goes on to say, quaero similis. Quaero means I seek or I look for. Similis is the masculine plural of the word similis, and there's no noun with it, so this would mean similar people. So I seek similar people. And then we have the word mei. Mei is genitive. It means of me. You may remember that the word ego goes ego, mei, mihi, me. This is the genitive. It so happens that similis often takes a dative, sometimes it takes a genitive, and it means the same thing. So this is, I seek people similar to me. And adjungur, I am joined. This is, or I mingle with, or I am joined. This is a passive form of a verb. Pravis, dative, to depraved people, to wicked people. So, and I am joined to wicked people. We in English would probably say something like, I associate with wicked people. That's what we would say. So I seek people similar to me, and I mingle with wicked people. Dives non sum, dives means rich. I'm not rich, said pauper, but poor. Or when we say, I'm not a rich man, but a poor man who possesses nothing, right? For nolo, this is a new word. Nolo means I don't want to be. So I don't want, I should say to be is in the essay. For I don't want to be a thief. And remember the word neck. The way to handle the word neck is to use the word and then wait for the not. And I do not desire to take care of or to cultivate fields. In other words, I don't want to be a farmer and make a living. So for I don't want to be a thief, and I don't desire to cultivate fields. Non delector, I am not delighted. This is a passive. I am not delighted. Rebis severis, with harsh things, That's an ablative. It's an ablative means I am not delighted with harsh things. Delector, I am delighted. Rebis dulcis, with sweet things or pleasant things. Again, that's an ablative. Atque jocis, and with jokes. So the whole thing is, I am not delighted with harsh things. I am delighted with sweet things and jokes. Placet. Placet's a very important word. It means it is pleasing or it pleases. It takes a dative. So placet mihi means it pleases me or it is pleasing to me, but it always takes a dative of the person who is pleased. And this is one common way the Latin says I like. So it is pleasing to me, cogitare, to think de pulchris puelles, about beautiful girls, and to cultivate love. Okay? So it is pleasing to me, or it pleases me, to think about pretty girls and to cultivate love. In English, you could also say, I like to think about pretty girls and cultivate love. This verb placet means it is pleasing, but it's often used where English would use the expression I like. Via lata gradior more juventutis. Okay, via lata means, via is a path or a road. Lata means wide. And so this is actually like an ablative, probably be translated sort of, it's maybe an ablative indicating the place. I walk on a wide path, or by a wide path. It could be ablative means I walk by a wide path. More, this is from mos, moris, masculine, which means habit or way or custom. So and this is an ablative, in the custom juventutis, of youth. Okay, so I walk on a wide path in the way of youth. Implucome, this literally means to fold I fold myself into. In other words, I mingle with, or I engage in. So I fold myself into vices. In other words, I mingle with vices. Immemor, forgetful, virtutus, of virtue. That's the genitive there. And immemor is nominative in agreement with the I in the verb implico. I implicate myself. Non mihi placet cibis bonis egere. Okay, it is not pleasing to me to lack good foods. Egere means to lack. Most verbs that mean to lack in Latin are going to take an ablative. In English, we think that the way we do things in English is we say, I lack money, and we think of money as a direct object. Latin tends to use the ablative because instead it concentrates on the fact that if you lack money, you're separated from money. So Latin literally says, I lack from money. But we would say, to lack good food. So it is not pleasing to me to lack good foods. In English, you can also say, I don't like to go without good foods. If I don't eat well, non possum, I cannot write, scrivere, carmina, poems. That's the accusative plural. So if I don't eat well, I cannot write poems. If, however, I will have eaten well, this is a future perfect. I will have eaten well. And if, bibero, I will have drunk much of wine, we would probably say a lot of wine. If I will have drunk a lot of wine, I will be able to write poems so beautiful as Naso the poet wrote. Tom and Quam here are working as a team. That's how Latin says as. So you can translate this as, I will be able to write poems as beautiful as Naso the poet wrote. Naso, by the way, is an alternate name for the famous poet Ovid, a very, very famous ancient poet. Now let's go back to these future perfects here. You may or may not remember that Latin frequently uses the future perfect, where English will use the present. In Latin, this is literally, if I will have eaten well, and if I will have drunk a lot of wine. But English would probably just say, if I eat well and I drink a lot of wine, okay, I will be able to write poems as beautiful as Naso the poet wrote. Meos est propositum, okay? Plan, the propositum is a plan, okay? So we can say, my plan is mori. Mori means to die. It means to die, okay? It's an infinitive, and it's of a class that we haven't seen much of, but it means to die. And in taberna means in a bar or in a wine shop. So it is my plan to die in a wine shop. Okay, now we have a purpose clause. In order that there be wines next or next to the mouth of the dying one. This is going to sound a little strange. Let me do that literally again. In order that there be wines next to the mouth of the dying one. In English, we would say this like this. We would say, in order that there be wines next to me, or shall I say next to my mouth as I die, right? That's what it's trying to say. But Latin says a little bit different. In order that there be wines next to the mouth of the dying one. Since he just mentioned dying above, it's obviously he's talking about, or his dying above, it's obviously he's talking about his own dying, okay? Rogatus curtam multa me contra me dicta. You ask why so many things have been said by me against me. Why so many things have been said by me against me is an indirect question, right? That's why sint dicta must be in the subjunctive. It's in a perfect passive subjunctive here. It's in primary sequence because rogatus is present. That means y'all ask. And therefore, you are limited to the present subjunctive or the perfect subjunctive. We're using the perfect subjunctive here because this action is complete with respect to the rogatus. So this is, you ask why so many things have been said by me against me. Now he's going to tell us why. The old life, yam non, no longer pleases me, or no longer is pleasing to me. Remember, placet takes a dative. That's why mihi is dative, okay? And we in English would probably say my old life. We would add the word my in there. My old life, no longer. You may or may not remember that yam plus a negative means no longer. So yam non means no longer. My life no longer is pleasing to me. In other words, I no longer, or I'm just saying my old life, I should say my old life. My old life is no longer pleasing to me. In other words, I don't like my old life anymore. But I desire, kupio habere, to have new habits. Mores novos is new habits from mos mores, but I should point out that the plural of this word frequently is used to mean character. So you can translate this, but I desire to have a new character. Make it singular, okay? Because the sum total of your habits is your character. That's the way Latin looks at it. Yamnon, I no longer love vitia, vices, but I love virtues. Okay. Narawe omnia haec, I have told all these things now we have a purpose clause, in order that I be able to change my life. This is a purpose clause in secondary sequence because narawi is past tense, and we're using the imperfect subjunctive here because this poem is incomplete with respect to the narawi. So I narrated all these things in order that I be able to change my life. Oro ut mihi parcatus. Parco means to spare. You may or may not remember the word parco doesn't take an accusative object, it takes a dative object. So mihi parcatus means you spare me. So this is, I beg that you spare me. I beg that you spare me. And this is an indirect command here. I beg that you spare me. In English we might say, I beg you to spare me, right? We would probably use an infinitive, to spare me, instead of a subjunctive there. Okay? And that's the end of the reading.